Down for the talk and give the consent with 3 times sadhu sadhu sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato Samma sambuddhasse. Sukhaya panaye king vedanaya king patibhagoti. Sukhaya ko auso visaka vedanaya dukkha vedana patibhagoti. Dear Venerable Sir, Venerable Sisters, my friends, today I going to start the talk with the quotation, specifically from the Chula Vedalla Sutta. That's what we were dealing towards the latter part of the yesterday's talk. It is quite as usual, it's a question and answer session, leading one to the other. So, here Venerable, the Upasaka called as Visaka is asking from Venerable Sister Dhammajiva, dear sister, for the pleasant kind of feeling, what is the counterpart Dhamma, and according to the question, the Sister Dhammajiva is answering, Sukhayako also Visaka Vedanai Dukkha Vedana Patibhaga. For the pleasant kind of feeling, the counterpart is the painful feeling. I think it is very clear. Therefore, it is a very good starting point. That indicates the pleasant feeling is always reciprocal with, depending upon like, and work complementary like with the painful feeling. So whenever someone is experiencing a pleasurable feeling, one has to understand the intrinsic characteristics of the pleasurable feeling. It's a personal characteristics, individual characteristics of the pleasurable feeling, and to that list, the comparison between this under-the-nose pleasurable feeling and the painful feeling is quite a dramatic part. So therefore, to highlight or to complete the list on pleasurable feeling, one has to see the comparison between painful feeling. So that is how they become counterpart to each other. And then the Upasaka Visaka is continuing, asking Venerable Sister, what is the counterpart of the painful feeling? Then it is pleasurable feeling. So therefore they are going hand in hand like. Unless otherwise we are being instructed properly, or unless otherwise we are penetrating into this matter, we consider them as polar apart. We consider pain is completely a rivalry of the pleasure, and the pleasure also completely enmity or enemy or rivalry of the pain. But here, the Venerable Sister is asking us to see the relationship, see the interdependent nature, and kind of a cause and effect like relationship between the pain and the pleasure. And then asking what is the counterpart of the neither pain nor pleasure kind of feeling. And then the Venerable Sister is telling the ignorance is the counterpart. As far as you do not know, you are not well instructed, if you are not penetrating into this subject of feeling, whenever no pleasure neither pain nor pleasure kind of feeling happen, you ignore it, or you evade it, or you try to escape it, and consider it is something unauspicious, something boring, something monotonous, something lethargic, something unclear, uncertain, or fearful like. So these are the characteristics of the ignorance under these circumstances. And that ignorance, we have never penetrated into, because they also consider ignorance is something wrong. And under specifically the background of neither pain nor pleasure kind of situation, what is happening is our tendency to escape this situation and go by this natural pleasure principle, find to something hilarious, something interested, or chasing behind tanha or desire. Instead, this Chullavedalla Sutta, through this question and answer session, the dialogue, they are asking kindly and very intelligent enough, asking us to just wait a little and look into this no pain, neither pain nor pleasure kind of situation and see how this ignorance is working. To lead into that kind of penetration or radical kind of reflection, here the Upasaka Visaka is asking, Avijjayapana yeking patibhavo, dear Venerable Sister, what is the counterpart of this ignorance? And very ironical kind of answer, Avijjayako Visaka, also Visaka, Vijja patibhavo. You have to understand that is the point where the true knowledge is there, when and where you are to penetrate into, when and where you to see through this neither pain nor pleasure situation, feeling, or the surrounding situation of the ignorance. That is what you call the noble quest. This is what you call insight. This is what you call we have to thoroughly understand, and here the ignorance and the true knowledge is not polar apart, they are depending one upon the other. So that is the radical way, the radical thing one has to clearly comprehend, either in the deductive way or in rational way. So far we thought that ignorance and this true knowledge is completely in the two different polar apart, but instead it says, as far as you know about your ignorance under your very nose, specifically without judgmental, and to penetrate into, that is what we can easily define the way at the vipassana or inside meditation, and then you can understand how much we were avoiding it, escaping it, and finding answers in the past or in future with other places or in other people or in other formulas, golden formulas, or in luxuries, all the kind of thing. Instead, just be face to face with your ignorance. So that appear like theoretically, of course, very easy, straightforward, like one has to consider how much you must be qualified, how much you must be prepared, how much you must be instructed, how much you must be directed or adverted your attention to this particular sharp point, till that the real focusing will never place, or avenuing or coming to face with never happen. So therefore, this basic instructions and of your preparedness of the situation, or your going to situation with this kind of a background is quite important. Then only you have to understand the true knowledge is not something in the past or future, not in other places, not in other people. It is within you if you are looking at it in the correct perspective. And then you start self-exploration. And why so far I was other-directed, looking here and there instead of within oneself. Maybe a lot of tendencies, directed dispositions, or what you call learning, theoretical, the worldly knowledges, so that our mind is always other-directed, searching outside. So how much you must be de-learned, deconditioned to come up to that point. How much you must be you with the open-mindedness. And with the radical reflection, the true knowledge is the counterpart of this avidya. So to look at it when and where it is with your face-to-face situation. So this is the part we do in our retreat, in our mindfulness retreat, in our insight, when and where it is happening, instead of escaping, instead of finding external answers, try to look at it. It's very difficult. Very difficult because we never believe it is within. We never believe it is under one's very nose. We never believe it is just here and now. And soon you accept it, one or the other way, soon you accept it, and that is called vijja, that vijja called vimutti, that means your relief, or your deliverance is there. So realization may take time. But if you are radically ready to reflect upon that, your very ignorance is the raw material for you to start your noble quest and face it when and we are face to face with, and that looking at it with this confidence going to bring about the deliverance or relief. So that is happening without a time gap. Moment you are ready to understand the true knowledge is within me, and the high time is to see when and where I feel this kind of a boredom, when and where I feel the monotonous situation or lethargic situation or uncertain or fearfulness, outcasted like and disinterested like, and therefore when it is happening, that viraga is a simple term the Buddha is using. Raga means the desire. You are engaged and you are full of lust, and you are full of enthusiasm, full of desire. The opposite of that is quite bored, monotonous, lethargic, uncertain, and fearful like. So, if you know the root cause of this samsaric suffering, perpetual suffering is the desire, now you are face to face with the opposite of it, and you can see what is your common sense and what is your theoretical understanding is going to do, how much opinions you are coming out in order to avoid this kind of viraga. But the day, imagine, when you are go to meditation and go to mindfulness with this prepared mind, when and where this boredom sets in, when and where this monotony sets in, when and where this lethargic situation sets in, if you have to consider this as auspicious thing, consider this as the result or endowment of your practice, and to be face-to-face it, and to penetrate it, then you can understand this is what the Buddha wanted to teach you or expose you, that virago settho dhammanam. The Buddha mentioned this is the utmost teaching or the truth or the thing that is viraga. It is so obvious when compared with the raga, the desire. This is the opposite of raga. So only the yogi, only the practitioner, only the Satipatthana yogi can use this opportunity and to lead it to the deliverance. Otherwise, our rational mind, our worldly knowledge, all the kind of opinions, try to hate it, consider it in the negative way, consider it as the ignorance, and try to find external sources or external escapism way to get rid of it. So therefore, more and more you practice. When and where you become mature in this meditation, you are preparing yourself to understand the first noble truth of suffering. This is the precursor, this is the forerunner of the truth of suffering. If you are to avoid it, if you consider this as boredom, if you consider this as monotonous, and to get rid of with the knowledge of your theory understanding, worldly understanding, and your abilities and opinions and everything, so much so, you miss the bus. So imagine the day you go prepared for the meditation, and when and where you to see the disappearance part of the out-breath, or disappearance part of the falling part of your rising and falling, and the cessation part of anything, and to be very sharp, very vigilant, very diligent, just to see this cessation without considering it as unauspicious, without considering that as boring, or feel like get lost. More and more you go there, you see this is the part you have never seen earlier with kind of enthusiasm or diligence. So if you are to observe it, specifically now we are in the 6th, 7th day in our retreat. If you are with a good mood and a good momentum of mindfulness, soon you sit. After 2-3 cycles of the in-breath and out-breath, which that is the primary object, easily you can see, in thin slicing of time, how much you can keep the track with the, specifically with the end of the out-breath. And when you are to see very calm and quiet, continue with this tapering off part of the out-breath, soon you can see both in-breath and out-breath become calm and quiet, and according to the body also will become calm and quiet, and the mindfulness become very sharp. So much so your vigilance, so much so your diligence, your sensitivity, amplification power of your mind is so much increasing, and that is how the sharpening of the faculties happen. For that, not only the mindfulness, you must have the faith. The faculty of faith also parallelly becomes so sharp. And the kind of energy, the faculty called energy, here become not kind of exerting kind of energy. It's a very aesthetic kind of energy. Let the thing happen and you withdraw your aggressive part, and you be just the mindfulness to run, mindfulness to lead the thing, and you withdraw little by little energy, and you know art, how to strive through without much adding any turbulence. So therefore, it is specifically in the Maha system it says, you must not try to note or label the object, and then let the mind to go parallel with the object without much of pushing, without much of applying thoughts. So if I am to expand it little further, in the first day, second day, like in the beginner's meditation, you try to keep the track with the object by this technique of labeling, noting. That's how you advert the mind. That's why you direct your mind to the necessary object. Maybe that you're noting when the out-breath happens as out-breath and the in-breath happens as in-breath. When and where you become little familiar, when and where you become skillful, you can understand without noting, the mind knows the art, how to be face-to-face with the in-breath and out-breath. Under such circumstances, if you feel that your mindfulness is becoming sharper, if you can feel under your very nose that your faith aspect also becomes sharper, there you have to try, follow the object without labeling, without noting, and that is the place where the vitakka vichara, the applying thought and the discursive thoughts ceases to exist. So that very particular point, very difficult to discern or very difficult to teach by another person, unless otherwise you do your trial and error. When and where object become familiar, when and where the mindfulness is advancing, specifically towards the tapering part of the disappearance part, you have to just observe. Therefore, there's a kind of a refinement in the faculty of energy also. And together with the mindfulness itself becomes sharp. In later commentators, it says, at that moment, how fine-tuning you must do, how much facilitating you must do, tadupaga viryavahanattena sampahansana. It says, as and when the mindfulness develops the skillfulness, as and when the mindfulness becomes very, as and when the mindfulness observe the object very closely, diligently, vigilantly and immediately, don't rush, don't apply too much of energy, apply the necessary amount of energy and increase the vigilance. And that is the point where the concentration can set in. If you are going to apply aggressive kind of energy, noting, labeling kind, the concentration, the one-pointedness become hindered. So therefore you slowly reduce the energy, let the mindfulness to take the helm, and then when you keep on practicing, the concentration can come. Concentration be face-to-face with and parallel with the development of mindfulness, and then you understand this is what you call the alignment of your faculties, the faith, the energy, the mindfulness and the concentration, and that is what you call the wisdom. Wisdom is kind of finding an equilibrium. In this event, it is called ekarasa. Ekarasa means all the five faculties are doing exactly the one thing. It knows what to do. It is focusing and continuing with the cessation part of the object. And it can be in the micro level, the cessation part of the out-breath. Or it can be macro level, both in-breath and out-breath ceases to exist. The body also becomes very calm and quiet. Mindfulness also becomes very sharp. And it's an art rather than a science. You must know aesthetically how to get the balance. And when that happens, the more and more you to see the cessation part of the out-breath, if you take the in-breath and out-breath as your primary object, that's the way you go in from the tip of the iceberg to the submarine area, the greater part of the berg underneath, and sometimes it is being called going from the subconscious, from the conscious to subconscious. You are making a tunnel from the upper part of the mind to the lower part, according to the Western psychology. And more you go there, very interesting and very radical thing happens, because the subconscious of everyone is the same. It is universal subconscious. Our differences, or our misunderstandings, our likings and dislikings, everything is in the tip of the iceberg. But when you go deep down, if you are skillful, you can understand, you go to the universal subconscious, and there you find that we never explore into that, because we were not qualified, armed with it, and we were not aware of the art of it. Go deep in that. When you go there, you go to the unperceivable part of the object, unperceivable part of your senses, and it is more than 50% of the total picture. So there onward, you are going into what you call Rupa Loka from the Kama Loka. Kama Loka means the sensuous pleasure. The Rupa Loka means you are penetrating into one particular matter, so to say, the breath, and you are now onward away from your faculties, that is to say, Indriya, eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body. You become anindriya patibaddha, the consciousness shifting into another kind of a paradigm. Now you are no more related to your eye or the visual objects. You are no more related to the ear or the sound waves, and you are no more related to the nose or the smell. No more related to the sensitivity of your tongue and the taste, no more related to your body and the tactile sensation, and the mind and the thinking, and you are penetrating there. There you can find, in this sensuous world only, the one-upmanship, fighting, survival of the fittest, and the might is right kind of all the injustice happens. Beyond this limit, you get a walkover, no fight, very thin population, enough of the contentment, enough of the peace of mind, and when you go there, as you like, you can be there, because you are now going from the subtle matter or the cessation part of the matter. So far you consider it as a threat. So far you consider it as a lost. So far you consider it as a boredom or monotonous. But the moment you go prepared, moment you go this as a positive, consider this as an auspicious thing or precursor for frictionless path or to the comfort zone. And of course, the first time when it happens, you get excited, you get novelty feeling, and you may come back and again you go there, and that is how it happened in the trial and error. But when we are practicing as a group, when we are listening to these leading kind of talks, and when we are discussing on the same subject, one day your mind will be bold enough, or diligent enough, vigilant enough to go into this understanding that is called the true knowledge, and that very understanding is another name for the deliverance. So this is the way you understand left side of the brain and the right side of the brain in neurological ways. Because the left side is very rational, very arrogant, very masculinity in the nature. It never allows the right side to express its own views. And it is always leading and governing with the one-upmanship. So when and where that part ceases to exist, vigilantly, diligently, mindfully, you can see the holistic idea, the system approach, the macro level, the totality can come in, and it is always there, just like the canvas of the picture. But you were so far looking at the picture. You ignored the canvas. Not that the picture is preventing from you, but it is distracting you. So the other thing is that without a picture, you never look at least even to the frame. Now the Sister Dhammajiva, together with the help of the Upasaka Visakha, is asking to see through the picture and to entertain the canvas. And when it is happening, when you do it again, when you let it happen again, you will learn the art of this seeing through the picture, seeing through the sensuous feelings, sensuous objects, bombarding objects from the eye, ear, nose, tongue, the body, and daydreaming, fantasizing, and all the mental kind of thing. And still, if the moment you see through, behind canvas is there. So at the beginning, of course, you may experience it in a sitting position without any volitional activities and taking a very simple, very neutral, under the nose kind of object and go through it. And later, the diversification of the mindfulness, you may see that kind of penetration in your walking meditation also. While you keep on pacing up and down in the same track, maybe 30-35 minutes, and then you can see everything happen like robots, automatic. And you can see that you are walking like a puppet or like a robot. Everything is effortless. And there you can see the body knowledge itself is doing the task. You can look at it. You can look at yourself as a third person and see no egotistic part, no volitional part necessary, no any manipulation necessary. It's happening just like a baby learning how to walk without falling. And what aesthetic thing for the mother to look at. The baby now can walk without falling. Just like that you can walk without much of exerting, without much of organizing your mindfulness or anything. It is happening. You can take a step back and look at it. And that's why we call the totality of walking going to take place. And same thing, you can apply when you are brushing your teeth. When the time comes, your machine is ready. Ask the machine to continue it. When it's happening, just observe as a separate person how it is happening. And when you are eating, when you are bathing, when you are doing any kind of thing by yourself, and that is the point where you can, as a compassionate mother is let the baby to get the thing done by itself and observing, but fully with the motherly knowledge and approach, fully vigilant, fully diligent, waiting, babysitting, and let the baby to do it. That's the way we become rejuvenated. We give the full chance for the body, and the body knowledge will take place, and without much of judgmental, without much of forcing, let it happen. That's the point where SMS come into being. You have to do it slowly, you have to do it mindfully, and let it happen in a silent way, SMS. And then you can understand when and where you are not mindful, what a rush, and what a kind of tension, what a kind of frustration, what a kind of limitation from the space and time. When the things are happening in own accords, in the SMS manner, we can say we are living. We are not partial, only seer. We are not partially only a listener. We are not partially only a person smelling or tasting or bodily tactile sensation or thinking. The totality is happening. You have the evenly suspended attention. You have the suspended decision. You have no choice. You are not rushing to only see and forget about the rest. Or you are not rushing to only listen and forget about the rest. You let everything to happen, equal rights, and then you understand you are the household owner. You are in the center of the house, vigilant and observe. Or the eye door is dealing with the visual objects. Ear door is dealing with the sounds. And if the smells are there, that will do accordingly. And if there are any taste on your taste buds, that will happen. Or otherwise, the other tactile sensation, whether you are sitting or standing, and the mind would do, but you are not choosing, you are not worrying about this is better than the other. Everything comes and goes, and you are not worrying about. That is what we call mastering the situation. So when it is happening, you are rather get a distance from your faculties. They are happening like normal institutes, and they run. But you are not driven, you are not carried away, you are not bombarded with that, you observe it. So that is a very important and interesting point where mindfulness attaining to age like. When a girl attains to age, then only she becomes sexually matured. And likewise the mindfulness become mature enough, you know how the things to let go and fully vigilant and fully diligent, and you understand then true knowledge, or you are opening the doors to the cosmic library, the whole knowledge pouring in. And you have the enormous capacity in your hard disk. That's what we did in our evolution or in our past karmic life cycles. We got the hard disk, can accommodate so much of things. And the omniscient knowledge is there, unless otherwise you partial. When you become a specialist, you know nothing about the rest. So it is called as a joke. When you get the BS degree, you know bullshit. When you get the MS, it's more shit. When you become PhD, it's a pile deep and high. Piled up deep and high. Ajahn Brahm says, permanent head damage. So when you become specialized in one aspect, that means you are utterly ignorant about the world. But when you are completely open, you are not a specialist on anything. The universal knowledge or the true knowledge is coming in, so that only the non-reaction is the art. Non-coercive. In the power of mindfulness, when Jnanaponika is dealing this subject, non-coercive, non-reactional, without putting any blockage or friction, just let the things to happen with the fully contented, fully prepared, fully armed with the faith, the energy, the mindfulness, the concentration, and that is what you call the wisdom. And when it is happening, you may see the becoming a human itself is an endowment. Olarika manusatta patilabha. Atta patilabha means becoming a human itself is such a blessing, unless otherwise you become partial, unless otherwise you become choosy, Unless otherwise you have prejudgmental ideas or you judgmental. So without that, if you can be there, it is not a coincidence. It never happened as a coincidence. It's a number of steps you have to develop, you have to master. And then only you can understand. It is not a coincidence that is why Venerable Sariputta is telling, asking, instructing us, you must penetrate into this subject. You must be very thorough for this subject. But you see, you can't gain that kind of thoroughness or thorough knowledge only by reading. You can't gain it only by rationalization or deductive knowledge or inferential knowledge. With all this background, foundation, you have to apply yourself. Applying yourself also, not you do only directly, right from the beginning, directly to the feelings. You apply it to the materiality, something like the breath, or rising and falling, or maybe walking meditation, left leg and right leg, or brushing your teeth. Whatever it may be, a material or kind of a concrete thing. The necessity for that is when and where you develop mindfulness on this materiality, corporeality, that is verifiability. It's very, very important for the faith. So once you develop the mindfulness with the verifiable object, the gross object, concrete object, then only then you are using it on the immaterial object like mental thing, the feeling. And there also you can understand how much our rational approach, how much our common sense preventing us to see the disappearance part of the pleasurable feeling, preventing us to see the appearance or the disappearance part of the painful feeling. So much so we are being camouflaged to get into this neither pain nor pleasure kind of feeling. So therefore we are utterly ignorant, utterly blind. We may live on the earth, may 100 years or 120 years, you may talk about highly on the feelings and expertise kind of thing. But there may be a situation you never thought, you never see the opening door to this, the middle path, the leading path. Because it appeared at its outlook, it's very boring, very monotonous, very lethargic, sleepy, slimy, uncertain, and all the kind of thing. So there should have a person with so much of spiritual advancement, credibility, and come and say, hey darling, even though it appears like boring and monotonous, just wait, just see, just penetrate, just go deep into that. Then only you may open the doorway to go further into, and there you find completely new dimension, the shifting of the paradigm. And when and where you go there, you may understand the value of solitude. In number of ways you can understand. First and foremost, you must get the solitude, physical solitude, to go into the forest or sit under a tree or go to a solitude place. And the second thing is, you must earn this solitude from the free of hindrances. That's the continuity of the mindfulness. And there you get the chitta viveka. The mind is fairly free and it is ready for the subject matter. And then third, you have to know the path, not to carry it away by the pleasurable feeling or the pleasure principle, or not to hate and not to antagonize painful feeling. Let them happen in the order code and see when and where you have that equipoise approach or evenly suspended attention, how much you are with no pain, no pleasure situation. And earlier you used it as a boredom. You were searching about hobbies, music, novels, televisions, teledrama, carnivals, supermarkets, all the kind of thing. So rich people have so many of ways to avoid neither pain nor pleasure. This is what you call America. You are in the new world civilization. You are in the modern technology. You are in the infrastructure. And not only that, you Americans come and eat just settle for Sri Lanka also. No, your method is wrong. Listen to me. Do it this way. They are going to come and teach Sri Lankan people what must be the economy, policies, what must be the social justice. So when we are doing in my MS, as one communist person came and told, this is the way you are being taught as a postgraduate students to follow this formula, called the golden formula, that formula from that country and this country. It's utter exploitation, no compassion. So you can understand whenever you are pleased with neither pain nor pleasure kind of situation, what a kind of mentality, what a kind of preparedness, what a kind of openness, what a kind of mindfulness you must have with the evenly suspended attention. Never you hit it by your rational thinking. Only through the teaching of the Buddha. Whatever the way you are going to proliferate thinking, or conscious thinking, you never hit this on this target. It is for sure. So that is why Venerable Sariputta is specifically telling, hey darling, do all the other things and be prepared. Be armed with these, all the qualities and just penetrate into these feelings. Parinyayang, that means you have to go deep into that. And that is also, if it is happening, it's a coincidence. When we are sitting in the same hall and when we are exerting in the same way, we can't make sure each and everyone is going to hit in a particular day or particular place or for sure. But the trial and error method is the only method available. So when the day you hit, you understand, you see the value of understanding neither pain nor pleasure kind of situation. If you treat it in your normal way, it will be inferior. You will reject it. Instead, you find escapism and find other external sources. The day you go into it and do it with the open-mindedness, that itself is the relief. Itself is the true knowledge. And the moment you open the door, once it becomes the precursor and vimutti, the deliverance is there. And it is a kind of an appreciation. So therefore, the day you understand it, your friend may come and ask casually, what did you gain? Then you have to say, I gained nothing. Where did you lost? I lost nothing. So what happened? Something happened. You understand the humanity. You explore into your human nature. So therefore, even after the enlightenment, heavenly being came to the Buddha, Nandasi Samana, oh monks, are you happy? Then what the Buddha is asking, King Laddausu, for what gain? Sochasi Samana, or if it is so you are regretting, King Jita also, for what lost? That means that you are not gained, not lost. So that somewhat explaining what is the situation. Neither pain nor pleasure kind of a situation is subsiding. So then he says, after a long time of observation, I see a person crossed this eddy currents. So otherwise people are reacting. So therefore to cross over to the other side, what a kind of equilibrium, what a kind of tools, what a kind of art, what a kind of approach you must have. So Whenever it happens, you become a true human. Otherwise, sorry to say, we are partial. We are not treating other fellow human beings in an equal way. Whatever the formulas you are going to, compassion or loving kindness, well-being, everything, you do it with sick mind. So therefore the Buddha says, first and foremost, get liberated. That means get rid of this defilement as much as possible, the sickness. And then, even if you are not doing anything, your silent sermon, your presence, your grace, your good vibration itself is doing a lot. It is doing by benefiting the society at large by not doing something. Akiriya. So therefore, it is Sukho Buddhana Upado. Even the appearance of the Buddha itself is a pleasurable thing, whether he is doing something or not, because he is opening up the human mind. And keep the invitation open, a challenge open. Hey, you also full with the fully knowledge with you. Let that knowledge to come. Therefore, don't try to look neither pain nor pleasure situation as something negative or bad omen or disadvantageous thing. Instead, look at it when and where it is happening. Don't try to escape. Just face it. And that very radical change, that very ayoniso manasikara, the unwise reflection change into the wise reflection, then onward you are no more the same person. And in the Majjhe Sutta, you find in the Parayana Vagga, they are also just like this Chulavedala Sutta, the Buddha is presenting it, this kind of avoiding the two extremes. You must make room for the middle path, and that middle itself is nothing to grab, nothing to hold into. It is evolving, it is leading one after the other, and that kind of thing, if you know that art, I am telling you, you are the true person. You are the noble person. So therefore, first and foremost, you have to understand extremes, the pleasure principle, and hating of the pain. So these are the two extremes, Atta-Kilamatana Yoga, Kama-Sukha-Kallikana Yoga, self-indulgence or self-mortification. Whatever you do, it's at a wastage of time. But without that also, you can't assimilate what is the middle path. And knowing that, without carried away by pleasure principle, without vehemently hating the pain, you have to earn, or you have to discern, you have to delimit neither pain nor pleasure, and go prepared. When you go prepared, you see it's a huge door opening, and no need any of guidance. No formula. No guide is necessary. Just this openness itself is the most important thing. That's what the bare attention, the mindfulness is assuring. And then the clear comprehension is naturally sets in, so it is not belongs to you. It is not belongs to the teacher. That's the way when and where you keep the ground open, situation open, the clear comprehension will come and sets in. And you have to just get the benefit of it. As nothing to exert for that, it is appear like an endowment or as a gift. So with that remark, I would like to sum up the talk today, and we will continue further along the other evidences and the clues you find in the canon. Thank you for listening. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.